Do you like The Witcher 3? And do you like vampires? Then boy, do I have the game for you. Hey, I'm Lucy. I am GameSpot's resident vampire enjoyer, whatever that means. I recently went to LA to see a hands-off presentation of The Blood of Dawnwalker, which is a game from Rebel Wolves. You might recognize a lot of those names and faces because they did work on The Witcher 3, and they formed a brand new studio, and this is their game. It is about a Dawnwalker, a blade-type half-vampire who can walk around in the day as well at night, and they have to stop an evil clique or coven of vampires who have kind of taken over the land a little bit. It's 14th century Europe, which means that there is the plague, there is Black Death everywhere. And seeing all the chaos that the humans are going through, the vampires decide, this is our time. You know, we've been hiding in the shadows way too long. We can strike now while humans are weak. And they come out of hiding, out of the shadows, and they basically say, hey, we can kind of heal this problem for you. You got to pay us a little bit of blood and we will solve this Black Death for you. But at the same time, that means that we now control you on your lands, and yeah, you basically bow down to us. So as Cohen, you have 30 days to save your family. You have to deal with this vampire threat, and at the same time, you are a badass human by day who can use hexes and essentially magic powers and even talk to corpses. And by night, you are a vampire who can use his claws, walk on walls, teleport a little bit. It's a really cool gameplay loop, and yes, I did not get to play the game. I got to watch an hour-long live gameplay presentation. I'm super into it. Makes me want to replay The Witcher 3 while I wait. Makes me want to rewatch The Interview with the Vampire Show on AMC, dig out my old Anne Rice novels. I'm into it. As I mentioned, Cohen has 30 days and nights to save his family, and so there is an in-world clock. It is not one-to-one with real time, but if you are kind of exploring anything, time doesn't move forward then, but it moves forward when you undertake certain missions. So in the UI on the side, it'll say, you know, however many days left to save your family, and it'll show you what the day ahead looks like in terms of how long you've got left, and if you pick a certain mission, it'll say, hey, it'll cost you this amount of time, and that's how much will progress if you undertake that mission, if you do that certain thing. I think that is really cool. I also kind of panic a little bit because I really enjoy in an open world game just kind of doing everything. And the way that it seems that the Blood of Dawnwalker is set up is that it is supposed to encourage replayability. There are a lot of different choices you can make, decisions. You could accidentally kill someone who might be important to you, and so you might not even encounter certain characters in a playthrough. That is very exciting to me, but at the same time, I kind of have that like anxious energy where it's like, oh my God, time is running out, I won't be able to get to do everything. However, one thing I did actually really enjoy is the gameplay options that were showcased. So Cohen, during the day, I was kind of worried about this. I was worried that human Cohen would be kind of boring to play as. He would just be what, a dude with a sword? No, he is a dude with a sword who can also do magic, and he has runes carved into his hand, and so he has pocket sand, essentially. But he can also cast certain hexes in battle. So there's one where he basically made a guy's blood boil inside of him, and he can also talk to the dead, which has really cool gameplay implications. So we saw when he was investigating something for the main mission that he was following, there was no one around to ask. However, there was a dead corpse of something, and he questioned it, and that was, you can kind of compel them to answer, kind of using brute force a little bit, or like the force of the mind, but you can also find items that belong to the body that will connect them back to their humanity a little bit and make them remember and make them want to talk to you, which I thought was a really cool mechanic. So yes, human Cohen, not gonna be as powerful. For example, he has a stamina bar, so he gets tired. He needs to eat to replenish his health. However, he does have magic, so he's got that going for him. Vampire Cohen, there was so much cool stuff in there. So we did interview Rafael and Piotr, who's a lead quest designer and narrative designer, and we were asking about different vampire tropes, what was and wasn't on the table. So for example, this is not in the final game, but they were toying with the fact that if you're a vampire, you wouldn't be allowed in certain areas if you weren't invited, but obviously for gameplay, they got rid of that. However, what he can do is he has these giant claws that he can slash with. He can also use a sword. Of course, he's not gonna lose that ability, but you kind of have the scrappy, more animalistic fighting with your claws. Instead of eating, you obviously have to drink from people. You can do that in the middle of battle, or you can kind of skulk around. And if you don't drink enough blood, you basically go mad and have a bloodlust and just kind of go after anyone who's near you, which I thought was pretty cool. Kurt just asked me, does he sleep? That was literally the first question that I asked. No, he doesn't need to sleep, because during the day, he's human, and then he undergoes the transformation to become a vampire, and so he doesn't really have time to sleep because he also has to save his family. He can also walk on walls. He can kind of, if you know in Dishonored 2, the far reach ability, he kind of has a little teleport that's like that. A lot of cool vampire appropriate things. Also, I thought the way that you make vampires in this game is really cool and unique. You basically have to take the tooth out of a vampire and stab it in your heart, and that's what turns you into a vampire, which I just thought was neat. So like I said, this was a hands-off demo. Did not get to play it, so I can't speak to how the game controls. But what we did get to see was the same mission approached from two very, very different angles. The mission was to find the Sword of Mihai, who is a saint in the region, and basically doing a little bit of detective work to figure out where the sword is and how to get to it. So human Cohen was asking around, talking to people, eventually ending up underground in a weird crypt thing with perhaps a creature you may or may not have to take out. Whereas Vampire Cohen is doing a lot more sleuthing. He is breaking into places, he is walking up walls and teleporting through windows and skulking in the shadows and in the rafters at the same time to uncover the same information. So it's two very different paths, and this kind of brings me back to my anxiety of wanting to see and experience everything, because both paths were really cool. And I was really glad that I got to see both of them play out. But in my gameplay, I'm gonna maybe have a little bit of choice paralysis. But I think that's a good thing. It does encourage me to play it again. And then, like I said, because I didn't play it, the stuff I can't really speak to. I can't tell you how combat feels. There's a whole adaptive combat mechanics and different ways to approach sword gameplay. I'm just excited about this game. Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. Like I said, this really scratches the itch. However, in leaning into vampires and taking cool pieces from vampire lore, having branching storylines, having, a clique of vampires, each with their own different unique personality types. So you've got, like Lady Xanthi, who's the oldest vampire. Then you have a guy who, let's call a spade, he looks a lot like Lestat. And then you have another one who's from the Mongolian Empire. I really want to see and get to know them. There's a reputation system. There's so much that they are packing into this game, and I just want to see more of it. So sorry if that wasn't like a, hey, here's how this game plays thing. This is more of just a, game looks cool, man. I don't know, I'm into vampires. I'm excited to see more. Anyway, so that's what I saw in the Blood Dawnwalker presentation. We'll be at Gamescom, and hopefully we'll get to see more of the game soon. Keep it GameSpot.